I am Michel from Michel Advisory. I created a quality checklist for content creator. I created that several months ago. I'll explain why. But first, the objective of this masterclass on quality. The idea is to avoid mistakes, to avoid content creation mistakes, to protect your brand, your reputation. You don't want to post something on social media, like a video or a picture that's on Instagram, a video on YouTube or on TikTok, or you create a course and you don't want issues with the content of your course. So, or even a website, you might be publishing a website or a blog. All of that is the same logic to it. So it's to protect you, your brand, to detect and correct error in some cases, because with that checklist, it enables you to think about things that you might be missing or things that may be incorrect, and then to correct them before you end up publishing. So ultimately, it prevents you from making mistakes. So the idea is to improve the quality of the content you're creating and publishing, to increase your confidence at the same time. The fact to have a checklist and a bunch of things to cross-check will improve and boost your confidence. And it enables you to do the right thing the first time, so you avoid having to detect and correct error if you did it properly the first time. That's the rough summary. So about me, why am I qualified to talk about quality? So at the base, I'm a CPA. So I'm a professional accountant, but let me start you there. I don't do numbers and I don't do taxes. I hate it. I hate paying it. I hate filing it, everything. So I'm not a standard accountant. I don't do anything related to that and bookkeeping and accounting and things like that. For 21 years, I was specialized, highly specialized in risk management and internal controls. Risk management style, like strategic risk, tactical risk, operational risk, like the risk of business acquisition, tactical risks such as project management related risk, the risk that a project has a bad quality, a project is delayed, a project is costing more money than expected, and things like that. And operational risk like cybersecurity risks, getting hacked, risk regarding privacy breach and things like that. So things more like that. Also financial risk and this accounting related risk and things like that. They cover a vast array of topics. During my career, I worked for two of the largest firms in the world, like Deloitte, the largest accounting firm in the world, and KPMG, probably the fourth one at the moment. And Telstra, telecom company in Australia, gigantic telecom company. So work in Montreal for most of my life. I'm from Montreal. That's why I speak French-Canadian type of English. That's why I have a strong accent. Worked 2 years in Moscow for Deloitte. And then I worked about 8 years in total in Australia, where I met my wife. Great time there. Part of that, and in May 2021, I created the Michel Advisory Limited. So I do now leadership training and coaching. I do also training on risk management and internal control and cybersecurity. So I do like other things. So don't worry about the text size of what you're seeing now. So this is a checklist, but the text will be bigger. I made it, the original checklist is a Word/PDF file. I made it into a PowerPoint today. So the next slide will be like bigger text, so you'll be able to read and things like that. No, don't worry about that. The core focus of risk management in that context is to prevent risk from happening. And for that purpose, normally we use controls. Checklist is a control that help you like prevent, detect, and correct any issue to a certain extent. So for the last 3 years before I created Michel Advisory, I was a director at Deloitte Canada, and I was one of the person in charge for quality and risk management for the east of the country. So I was reviewing contracts to ensure that there was no like issue in the contract that would put the firm at risk. I was reviewing key reports before they were sent to clients. So I was a lot of the things that you see on that checklist. I was looking at that when I was reviewing like report. When you send a deliverable to client, you need to check that first. Is the deliverable what we promised in our contract? Are we doing the right thing? And did we do too much or not enough? And we're missing something in it. What's the quality of it? The quality of the whole content of a 100-page report. It's really, really important. It's our reputation. So the same goes with you. That's why I created that. In May, June, I joined a group about self-education revolution on Facebook made by Anthony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. Part of that was creating small courses. So I created myself like 2 courses in French and English. So 4 variation in total. One was related to like influencing a boss, and the other one was people-oriented leadership. And after that, interacting with people in my group, in that Facebook group, I realized that some people need some hints on a checklist, a quality checklist, because a lot of people were asking questions to other people. And then I was like, let's make that tool. That's useful for everyone. And today I'm going through that tool, those questions, those elements to discuss about them and share it with them. So here, we start with overall style considerations. So do you have a branding style? And let's say, by example, you can see at the top, the branding style of Michel Advisory. So I use a specific yellow for my brand, specific gray, specific font, even the blue. So the yellow, gray, blue, and black are the 4 colors that are part of my brand. When I use them somewhere, I use the specific RBG color. So it's the proper color systematically, and it's related to my brand. So if you define yourself a brand, you define it, you arrive with like maybe a palette, some fonts, 1 or 2 fonts. If you want, let's say me, I use Georgia for a lot of things. Arial and Times Romans are popular. You can have a specific image or logo. So the little head with puzzle is a logo I created several months ago. It fit with my brand in terms of style and color. Then after that, you could go into more of that. You may define specific values and vibe that you want to generate. So let's say, by example, if you look at my logo, you may already think like, okay, like it's something that's more thinking related. I take a brain and I put puzzle pieces, and it's like working with me is like assembling a puzzle for your brain. So I'm going for that type of vibe. So it makes sense. So when I do stuff after that, I try to align it with my branding. Is the overall style nice and flowing? So whatever you're trying to do, a TikTok video or like me, a video right now, is the overall style nice? Is it good? Is it flowing? Is it making sense? Is it logical? Or is it like mishmash, chaotic, or it's me improvising the whole thing and there's no slide and it's just me talking and improvising on the spot? So it's a general style here of consideration. If you have an overall style, is it light? Is it heavy? So me, and you can see it from the previous pages, I try to not overcrowd. So here it's slides. So the content that you're looking at the moment, it's slides related in PowerPoint via a medium that we're recording and on Zoom, but I will probably publish it in my Facebook group and on YouTube on my channel. So, but is the style light or is it heavy? Is there like too much text? Is it too busy, too many images, too many clashing things? And at the end, it's like somebody will look at that and say, yeah, that's too much. That's just like a deterrent. People will walk away because the style is like either too light or too heavy. Have you considered a buyer's persona? So the type of person, if you're selling services, if you're trying to attract some specific customers to your content, whatever it is, video on TikTok or things. Oh, who's your ideal customers? Is that if you're doing a video on TikTok, are you aiming for millennials or next generation after that? Are you aiming at baby boomers? So figuring out who are your buyer's persona. So it could be, oh yeah, I'm selling to a corporation, I'm selling to coaches, I'm selling a like specific product for a specific market. So knowing that help you to tailor your branding, your value, your vibe, the whole thing, and your style may go in a certain direction. Side note, you may possibly even want to cross-check your direct competition to see like what is the direct competition doing. You don't want a style that's similar to the direct competition. So yeah, I work for Deloitte, I work for KPMG. I really ensured that my style was nothing to do with their colors and whatsoever. I did not want it to look like my previous work. It was really important. Did not want any lawsuit So then the last one, it's used when you do design thinking. So design thinking, it's a style that was created around, I think, the 60s, 70s, when you design a product. Now it's popular to use for every second thing. You can use it to create a website. You can use it when you create like marketing message, and you focus on how you want people to feel and respond when they see/read your content, your image, your description, whatever content you're doing. How do you want them to feel? So you think about a range of emotions, and you could look at in Google emotion wheels to get a range of all the possible emotions. How do you want them to feel? Want them to feel excited, to feel intrigued, to feel like, oh, you're professional, you're delivering something, and it's like what you're saying is making sense, and you want them to be like confident in what you're saying. So depending on the type of emotion that you're doing, you may want to organize your overall style to go in that direction. For example, again, if I go to the logo, my logo was created to make people think that, yes, it's brain related. Like I make people think. I'm a coach. I assemble pieces. I help people to assemble pieces in their brain so they do better leadership, like judgments and decisions and things like that. So it's related to that. I want them to feel like that it's a work in progress, and working with me, I will help them achieving that. So it's going in that direction. Then we go into the content title, the core title. So if you're doing a post on Facebook, if you're doing a post on Instagram, there will be a title, quite likely. And then after that, or the first line of your message. And then after that, you may have a description and hashtag and things like that. But if it's a post that has like a title, even a YouTube video will have a title. Is the title clear? Is the title message clear? Or is it a long-winded sentence? And I think one of the other point is it too long? Is it too short? If it's a whole sentence that's like almost like 3 sentences because you're describing a whole thing in the title, it's not a good title. You want the title to be decently clear. So when it will be time to put that thing on YouTube, yeah, I'll put the title that mentioned like it's a video about like a quality checklist, that we're going through the checklist and we're giving like specific information. So I'll get a title that's probably like just 3 or 4 words long. So to that, if needed, because depending on your brand, it may not be needed, is the title catchy? In the sense that, do you need a catchy title? If it's a TikTok video, do you need that title to be like trendy or intriguing or something like that? If you're doing a professional video, you may not want necessarily that title to be catchy. You may want it to sound a bit more professional and things like that. You don't want to have a title that's too like clickbait, depending on the type of customers or people that you're publishing that content to. So that one, it's if needed, go for one, otherwise go for something serious, professional. It depends on your brand. All of that need to align. Is the tone of your title adequate? Like in the sense that, yes, you go for a crowd that's like millennials and something that's a cool little video on TikTok. You may not want the title to be too boring or too serious. Like if the thing is not serious, you may want the thing to be like more fun. But if you're doing a video that's like a professional related video and it's for a professional membership and things like that, sharing it with a specific group of very more serious people, then you may want the tone to be different. It depends on the nature of what you're saying. You may be running a business that's actually very, very serious. Like it could be a non-profit organization where you deal with like people like supporting like violence against women. So it's like, it's very serious. You don't tend to do like stuff that's joke related in that type of industry. That's not well perceived. So again, after that, the length of the title, don't want to see a title that's just necessarily 1 word or 2 words. Like, is it too short? Does it make any sense? Is it too long? That's easy to see if a title is too long. If you go further than 6, 7 words for social media, you may be going into too long, possibly. Try to keep it as short as possible. Spell check. Spell checking the title, fairly straightforward. Spell check will come back later when we talk about general text. You want to spell check everything. Like if you're French or English, whatever language you're publishing, you want to cross check that there's no error, spell checking error in the text you're publishing. Otherwise, like if you discover that and somebody mentioned that you have error, you may want to like almost remove it and correct it, or depending on what you're publishing. Is the position of the title adequate? So depending on what you're publishing, again, the title, like top left corner, like here in my slide, it's the title of the slide technically, versus the title of an overall PowerPoint presentation. The title on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube video, it's a bit more straightforward because there's a position already like determined for that. So it's a bit more straightforward. But if there's a title, and it's like, also by example, if you're making an ad and it's an image and you put a message in it and there's a title in it, like me, when I created courses, I put technically the title of the courses in my overall image. So if I go back to the slide at the beginning, I put the title quality checklist for content creator in the image that I use for the publication of this course. So the positioning of it was important. I wanted the positioning to be there. I wanted some contrast, so it pop out. Put it in red to attract a bit of attraction. The cat was just there for like a fun thing because it's also part of my vibe. For certain element, I use cat and dogs heavily for some aspect because I believe I'm funny at time. So let's go back to the core one. So was the positioning adequate and the overall thing, is it readable? Is the font adequate? Again, like, are you using a font that's too like fancy and nobody can read properly the font? Or is it like, yeah, it may be nice, but is it easily readable? So Betty, you mentioned that you may have issue with color blindness. So definitely. So when you publish things, well, you understand that because you are an element of color blindness, and there's a lot of readers everywhere that may have that. So part of that may be like, yeah, you need to publish things in a specific set of color to be sure that everybody, or as much people as possible, are able to read and see like your content. It's quite important. Normally, I know that for a website, there's colorblind tests that can be done for website. The other type of media, I'm not sure specific tool for that, but for website, normally there's tools to help for that, or the specific set of color to avoid that otherwise. But it's a very fair point to understand. Otherwise, yeah, you may be reaching like 97% of the population, but then you're missing a 3%. And those customers could be in that 3%, depending on the nature of your business. So it's a very good point. Thank you. Well, the font color adequate, there was an element about color blindness. There's other element in color, just first, is the color still aligned with your brand? Is the color as a decent contrast? If I would have put a white title on my yellow band at the top, could be harder to read. I put a blue one because there was more contrast for a reader. Otherwise, white on yellow could be harder a bit. Versus when I went into my logo, I put white on gray, that's a good contrast. So having a contrast in some cases help with readability. Overall message and content. Oh, after that, let's say like you had your title, you're going in if you have a description, or if it's a Instagram description, or if it's a YouTube description, or you may publish a video, you will have a title and then you will have a description of the video. So depending on what you're making, and if it's a course, it's the same thing for a slide. Each slide could be like a repeat of all those things. Is the overall message of the content clear? Is the overall message of that slide clear? It's like, okay, yeah, I put the title at the top, but then the content is like elements that are aligned with the title. Okay, did I put that content in the right place? If it's a multi-element thing, is the content at the right place in the course, in the content, in the PDF? If it's a PDF file you're creating, similar to what I'm doing now, but as a PDF, it's like, oh, I created a PDF file that I will give for free for customers. Okay, it's 12 slides. Is it made in a logical way? Is it clear? Is it flowing properly? Again, is it clear who's the audience of the message? It's still going back to that persona that we discussed at the beginning. It's like if your content is made for manager in companies, if it's made for millennial, is it clear that it's the audience? Is it, well, if it's something that's funny related, then the audience may be a bit more wide, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a mass audience that you're looking for because you just want to create something that go viral. It's a bit different. But otherwise, if you have a targeted audience, so if you have a niche and then you're targeting that to that specific audience in that niche, then is it clear? Is the message aligned to that? Is the tone and all of that that we discussed earlier aligned to the audience? Or is it clear what you're trying to achieve? And we're going into that to a certain extent after that. Like here, well, it's a quality checklist, and I'm listing some element of the quality checklist. So self-explanatory for this example. But then the two other points right after that. If you're explicit or implicit with the problem that you're trying to solve. So, well, I put if any, because not everybody that will see this video will be necessarily like trying to solve a problem. They may just be publishing stuff for fun on YouTube or on TikTok or Instagram. But if you're here because like you have a website that serves like some services or some product, if you're trying to do a course online and publish it on Mastermind or Udemy or a platform like that, then yeah, you may be trying to solve a problem. So are you explicit or implicit? It's an element that's quite important. So the distinction, by example, if I go see a client and I say, your security policy is not good because it's missing that, then it's quite explicit that their security policy is not good. If I go see them, I say, oh, you have an opportunity to improve your security policy and add this. I'm not telling them that their policy is not good, but implicitly it's missing something. I just did not specify it specifically. I did not tell them like the negative side. I'm still talking about the same thing. At the end, their security policy is missing something and they need to improve it. One, it was very explicit that something was missing. The other one was implicit because I was suggesting to add something to it. I was suggesting to add what was missing. So if you're doing a problem statement, are you going in the same direction? Are you clear or not? Then the same thing after that with the outcome or outcomes, if you have more than one, that you're bringing, because you're trying to solve a problem. So at first you may talk about the problem, and then you may talk about explicitly or implicitly what you're bringing to them. So, oh yes, I will help you to design that. I will help you to write your security policy. I will do it for you, or I will guide you toward that journey. So are you clear enough about what you're actually doing? So if you were talking about the pain point, sure, you were maybe explicit with your pain point. Are you clear about what you're bringing to figure out that pain point, to correct it, to improve it? So the value that you're bringing to the conversation, is it clear enough? So it's an important element of a message, depending on still the type of thing that you're trying to achieve in your content creation. There's a wide range of stuff in content creation. So there's a second slide for this. Is your niche precise enough? And niche, like depending how you want to pronounce it. Me, I go for the French way because I'm French Canadian. So the niche, so, or the dot, if you're coming from a certain place that refer to it as a dot. So if you're selling a product, it's fairly straightforward. If you're selling services, is your service very, very, very specialized? Is it clear enough in the message? Is it addressed specifically for that type of audience? So if I'm selling mindful leadership, training and coaching, at the core, I'm not selling to like the population in general. It's not mindful leadership for like stay-at-home mom. It's made for like people working in companies. It's made for people that are supervised by one or many person, or it's made for people that are supervising people and teams. So how they act themselves within their own team, how they manage their team, how mindful are they of their own needs and the needs of their team. So there's all things going on. But the niche is like, okay, it's a very specific style of leadership. It's not everything that leadership, it's a vast, like there could be 30 topics just in leadership itself. So I went for like, okay, mindfulness leadership. It's like self-leadership at the same time. I went for a more precise one, and I'm aiming it at more like medium or large companies. If somebody is a self-worker at home, that type of training, it's not made for somebody working alone at home. It's not that type of training. So if you're going for something like that, is your niche precise enough? Is your demographics precise enough? Again, if applicable, if you're doing a broad publishing on Instagram and you want just to reach as many as people as possible and you're not looking for a specific demographic, sure. But are you looking for millennials? Are you looking for people in your own country? So if you're selling a course and you're selling it in North America, and it's a course that's live. So for people in other country, live course could be different when it's time zone related, or the price. You're selling a course and you're selling it $500 for a day. And somebody in India, most people in India can't afford it because most people in India still earn like $1 or $2 a day. So for them, it's like $500. It's like several months of work. So that doesn't work. So when you do demographic of your course, or if you do marketing and things like that, you may want to aim it at the demographic that benefits your course, that can afford your course, that are part of like the persona that you identify earlier and things like that. So there's tweaking to be done around demographic. So you're not wasting your time. And if one day you do like marketing related stuff, you don't want to waste marketing money aiming at market that cannot afford your service or products. If you're just doing stuff for fun on TikToks or Instagram or YouTube, you could possibly go wider or not aim at a specific demographic because you're just looking for like a wide range. The message, is it too wordy? Is it too wordy? Like if you do an Instagram one and it's a whole like mega story and you go for the maximum length of the thing. I see several times recently, there's a trend on Facebook, a bunch of coaching and marketing people, they start making really, really long messages, really annoying. I hate it. And they do one line and then they do a space in between the line and they do another line. So the whole thing is space with one line in between and it's going forever. And it's like, sorry, I don't want to read like an essay of like 30 lines on Facebook. Like it's not what I'm looking at Facebook for. I'm doing other things on Facebook. So is it too wordy? So because like as soon as I realized it was wordy, they lost my attention. Not that I have always a short attention. So is your message consistent? So here there's consistent or confusing. The confusing could be a different angle. First, let's look at the consistency. If it's one message, first, is it consistent with your brand? So remember, if your brand has a specific style, value creation, you want people to feel a certain way, is your message consistent with that? Is your message consistent with previous messages? You did other messages before. If you're doing posts on Instagram every day, is the overall message that you're saying like similar and consistent? It could still be different every time and different image and different words and things like that, but are you still consistent? Or you're starting to post like random stuff and one day I post something serious, one day I post something super funny, one day I post myself like at the gym and chess only. It's like, okay, like that's not related to like my brand. Like earlier, me on my Instagram, I post a picture of my cat sitting on my computer while I'm trying to wrap up this presentation. So it was related to it. And it's because there's a bit of funniness in my brand. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to finalize my presentation and the cat is a bit on the way. And it's like, it's cute. And it's like, okay, but it's not just like me doing a random thing and posting that. Like this consistency with the brand and the message that I'm trying to vehiculate. And that's what I'm saying in the next point. Is your message aligned with your brand? Just that's it. Like if you define yourself a brand at the beginning, is the message aligned with all of that? Depending on what you're posting. So if you're posting an image and it's a course or something like that, is is that image like, is there too much stuff in it? Is there a quote there and or a message, and there's like a message there, there's a message there, there's a message there, and at the end, okay, like there's 5 messages in the same slide. Is it too much? Like it's too busy, is diluting the reader's attention. Like here, because it's PowerPoint, I try to make it as short as possible. There's a general rule that exists in PowerPoint called the 6x6 rule. I did not exactly follow that today, but I'm not too far. The 6x6 rule for PowerPoint is considered to be maximum 6 bullets. So the tick mark on the left, the checkbox on the left will be those bullets. And normally to go for 6 words per bullet. I went a bit longer than 6 words, especially at the end. But normally keeping it like that, ensure that your slide is overall like not too heavy. Normally when I do other type of presentation, I use more images. I could have used images here to demonstrate in some cases like things to do or things not to do, but we're going verbal today and we have to visualize some of them. But at the end, like keeping it like short is, see here, I breached my 6x6 rule. I went for like a few bullets, but they're still overall like quite short. Font and text. Well, it's the text readable. Let's not assume that. Sometimes we like some specific type of font and they're not that much readable, or they could be difficult to read for some people. It could be fonts that are too skinny. It could be fonts that are too fat and the letters are really like bold and touching each other, or they have a weird shape that it may be difficult to read. And depending also, and I will mention it later, but I'll mention it now. Is it readable, and is it readable on every type of device? Let's say the other day, I think it will come back in image. The other day, I posted something on my Facebook group, and somebody texts me and is like, when we see that image and that text on a mobile phone, can't read it. Like it's truncated because of the format of a mobile phone. So it's like, oh, me, I did that on a desktop. On desktop or laptop, no issue. It's really easily readable, but the text was truncated when it was on a mobile phone. So I went and adjusted the text. Again, spell check the text. It's fairly straightforward. Don't assume that people do that. There's a lot of people putting stuff out there that have like misspells and errors in them and conjugation issue. And God knows, I only started speaking English in like 2005. So I'm not perfect. That's also why I use spell check. I know that I'm not good with my English. I'm not perfect, even if I live like 10 years abroad. It's not perfect. So spell check is there to support me in my journey to better my English. The text. Is there too much text? Is there not enough? So if you start a mega paragraph or two, like a massive block of text, okay, like it's heavy. That will be in PowerPoint and you have a massive chunk of text. It's too much. PowerPoint is not made to be a Word document. If you're doing a post on Instagram and again, you're putting an image and the image, there's an image and it's full of text and left and right. And it's like, okay, it's too much. Is there not enough text? Depending on what you're posting. Like if it's literally depending on the type of content you're publishing, is there not enough text? Should there be a text that explains something? Should it be like, if you put an image, should you put a little description at the bottom that's saying, oh, this is what you're looking at? Or it's quite popular also since a few months. If you do a short video on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, to put a text, it's kind of a Rolodex, not sure that that's the right word, but or a telescript. The person is talking, but if you're watching it and you're on mute, because quite often I mute those things, I don't want the noise of random stuff on Instagram and TikTok. So you see the text going, like, so I use it myself. I did something on TikTok and it was auto telescribing my text. Then I corrected because they did a bunch of mistakes because of my accent. Let's blame the accent. And then after that, once I did it, it's like, yeah, I could see like the video is running, and if somebody has difficulty with my accent, then there's a text like going on and scrolling at the same time then I'm talking. It was quite nice, but I had to cross check that, and God knows that there was a lot of errors in that text. So is the font optimal? And for the audience, but it could be optimal, like, well, in the sense that you're going for professional audience. Okay, does the font look professional, or it look like it's a cartoon font and it's like it's too flimsy, it's too fun? Like adjusting the font to your brand. Is the font quality good? Some fonts, depending on the size of the image that you're using, or if you're putting it in an image and then after that you're publishing the image on Facebook or somewhere like that, is the font good? Or once somebody like zoom in, like the font is like pixelized and the font quality is like degrading, or it's a font that doesn't seems to have a good quality once it's published. Sometimes you can see a preview. Same thing, I published like this event on Eventbrite. Before I publish the event on Eventbrite, I can see a preview of my event and the page, so I can do a quality check, and I go through some of that. And then I check like, oh, is that good? Oh no, it's too much on the left. It doesn't work properly. If I look at it on a mobile phone, it look garbage. It's not good, etc., etc. Well, is the font color adequate? Well, I did mention with Betty that color blindness is a very important thing these days. You should cross-check when you're posting something that it cater for that type of people that may have like that difficulty. So, and then there's other element that's like the font color adequacy in terms of, is there sufficiently like contrast? And I did not put it there, but if you have a background, so if you're putting text, like here I put text on a white background, fairly straightforward. It's the easiest thing to do, but I could have used a light yellow background, and then it's like, okay, like it's still like decent contrast. But if my text will be like in gray, then I'm using a yellow background. It's like, okay, the text will start to become like a bit like less easy to read because of the contrast will be like fading away a bit. Or if so depending on the type of color that you use and your messaging and your brand and your video and all of that, ensure that the text is readable properly, especially if it's text on top of a video or an image. Ensure that the positioning in the image is good, that it creates contrast and it's readable. Otherwise, if somebody is reading it and it's missing some word because like it's blending too much with the video or the image, then it's more problematic. Well, is the font related to your branding? We discussed a bit about that via like the audience and some element, but we need to be consistent. So everything you do should be aligned with your branding. At first, and it's not a branding course, but it's still like, at first, define a branding. If you already have a business and you already have one, that's great. If you don't have one, take a moment to define a branding. If you have a business logo, you can figure out a business logo. Even my business logo, I use a website that allow me to like self-create my logo. I did that, cross-check with the wife. Everybody was happy. We like the style, the color, all of that. It was fitting. And then after that, I align the rest of my branding with that. I even have if I do something in PowerPoint, already created in advance some template in PowerPoint that have the specific RGB color that I'm using. So when it's time to create a new presentation, I can easily leverage from all my current branding because I created a template for that. So that makes your life easier. Same thing with my website. The whole website is using the same type of color and style and things like that, and images. Alignment of paragraph, text, bullets, fairly straightforward. Don't assume it. Sometimes, quite often, people they do bullets and then the bullets are not aligned. They do like, here you can see, wait, it's easy because everything starts like, is there something? Is the on the left? They're aligned. They're easy to see, but I could have missed a space, the second one or the third one, and then I noticed that when I review stuff, oh, there's a space here missing. There's too much space between those letters, those words, and things like that. So you want to cross-check that things are aligned properly, and probably things are spaced properly. If you have space in between things, could be important. If you have multiple paragraphs in your content, ensure that every paragraph is actually aligned. If it's stuff that you're putting and you're moving yourself and there's a lot of movement, if you're using Word or PowerPoint or things like that, try to use the align function to align left or align in the center and things like that. So wherever you go right, left, or center with your alignment, just ensure everything is aligned and aligned in a consistent manner. So it fit with the style. You don't want something that's too chaotic that, oh, that's aligned right, that's aligned left, and that's what's the word for that? The one that's like aligned, but it feel like the whole text filled to the edges. Sometimes it's for readability purpose, it's harder to actually read because it creates a bunch of space in between words. So try to see, like, I think it's the defined one. It's a bit difficult sometimes to read. So if you leave it in the text as aligned and compressed left, normally it's easier to read when it's all together. Some element in picture and graphic. Let me just grab a little bit of water. So is the picture free of copyrights? Just to avoid yourself some legal risk. If you go on Google and you just Google randomly an image, there's a good chance that there's a copyright on that picture. Don't assume because it's on the internet that you can use it for a business purpose and it's all good. If you're doing something random and you just have a fun personal account on Instagram or TikTok, it's less problematic. But if it's something that you're monetizing and if it's something that's business related, ensure that you either pay for the copyrights. Some sites will allow you to do that based on the nature of the image and where you're getting it. Or when you do your search on Google, if you go and search and you go in image, Google image, there's when you click on the option or tools, just beside your search, you can tick mark to only have like a creative comment. If you click the option for creative comment, it's images that are free of copyright. So you can use them for a business purpose. If you want another bunch of quite good images, you can go also on there's a website from Shopify called Burst. So Burst by Shopify have images. All images there are free of copyright. They normally recommend that you quote the source, like the photographer that took the image. There's a link that they provide, or me, normally I put their name specifically because, yeah, it's good pictures and it's important to recognize the source of the image, even if there's no rights to pay. Just to avoid some legal risk, because otherwise, if you're making something for business and it becomes popular and somebody realizes you use their intellectual property, their copyright, then they could technically sue you. So you don't want that. Suing is not popular in Canada, it's not popular in Australia, but if you're an American, it's popular in America, so you want to avoid that risk. Is the picture of good quality? It's decently straightforward, but often enough, we see pictures on the internet that are not good. Bad resolution. So as much as possible, if you could go with something that's decently high resolution, and I say decently because some sites, if you post on Instagram or other sites, video or pictures, the same logic for both. YouTube's and Instagram and company, they would recommend some type of resolution. There's some minimal resolution or maximum resolution and size also. So you want to be sure that you're within first the parameter of that, because if you try to upload a picture that's like too large on Instagram, it may not upload. So you may want to stick with that, but you want something that's readable. If the quality is not good and it's all pixelized or it's vague, then that's just not good. Is the picture appropriate? Let's be clear, like I'm asking here, like I'm assuming that you would put pictures that are appropriate, but it's the internet. These days, a lot of people put random stuff. Whatever you're trying to publish, try to publish things that are appropriate. If you're doing something dodgy with your life and you're publishing stuff on some sites where you sell like things where you wear less clothes, it's your own choice. But otherwise, that course normally it's made for like things that are a bit more professional. So just ensure that the picture you're posting is appropriate and still should be related still to your brand. So if you're having a brand, that should be aligned with your brand, and hopefully your brand is appropriate. If you're putting a filter, is the filter more adequate? I say adequate here, it's a vague term for a filter. So if you're putting something on Instagram or TikTok and they allow you to put a filter, think again of several of the questions went before. Is everything still readable properly? Is everything clear? Is like some filter will create issue with color. So again, if you have like element with color blindness, the filter may actually make it worse. So depending on the filter, check that it works. Recently, I did a post on Instagram. I put a filter. It was a filter that was creating an animation. I posted that, and then my wife looked at it from her phone, and she's like, it takes like 3 seconds for the image to load and the video to start doing something, and it did not work properly. The filter, the animated filter from Instagram was like garbage. So I deleted my post straight away and redid the post without the filter, because the filter was not nice. Otherwise, it was not working in a nice way. So if you're using fancy filter from Instagram or TikTok, you may want to cross-check on another device after that quickly that the filter worked properly, because don't assume that filter work perfectly. Some are a bit buggy. Well, is the picture directly related to the title or the course, or it depends. So it depends on what you're doing. By example, me, I do my leadership training. At the moment, all my campaigns and variation are using dogs. It's a dogs related image. So my website use dogs, and depending on the type of training and coaching that they want, it's different dogs. Like the one has a little hat, and the more fancy training for more executive people, it's a dog with like aviator glasses. So yeah, I went for something humoristic and then a bit serious. Well, not serious, mostly humoristic, but it's part of my brand. I believe at times I can be funny. Like now I'm talking about the decently boring topic. Sorry, it's quality related, but I use something that was related to what I'm trying to develop. Like, because it's part of like who I am, like part of the way I was doing leadership when I was at Deloitte and those places. I was a nice and fun leader. Stuff still get done, but there's a way to make work and make employee happy and be happy at the same time, and having fun is part of it. So, well, was a picture related to the title? If there's a title to your post, so let's say me, I will post this video on YouTube. Hopefully, I don't have to edit stuff out, but I'll post it on YouTube. Then I will put a picture. So in YouTube, they allow you to put a specific picture or frame as the picture that will be the core picture. When people do the search, that's a picture that they will see. So I'll try to figure out like one that's related to the course, either like quality checklist, and I may put like the title that could cover like maybe half the image, and maybe my face on the other side, maybe not, or maybe just like the logo of my company. It depends, or me pointing at the slide. I will have to figure out like the actual picture I will take, but it need to like be related to the course. And because if I put it on YouTube, I may want it to be slightly catchy and make it like slightly funny without going overboard. So then there's the element, again, using design thinking. I mentioned it a bit earlier in another part. How do you want people to feel when they see the picture? So they will see the picture, and then their first reaction is like, oh no, I don't like that. Oh, that's unprofessional. Oh yeah, that's funny. I like that. Let's click that. Let's see more. Let's read the text. I was like, oh yeah. So how do you want them to feel? So they may see a title, they may see a picture, they may see, hopefully they see both. So how do you want them to feel? So figure out the emotion, and then try to figure out like if the image that you're putting is actually generating that emotion. So think and do like more this emotional intelligence technique to do like empathy and put yourself in their shoes and this and that. And somebody that use their phone is like, oh yeah, putting like picture of a dog with glasses for like a executive like leadership course. Like, oh, it's funny. It's like, well, why a dog? Like, I don't know, but I like dogs. Okay. So like, it's going in the right direction. Some people, some executive that don't have a sense of humor, will not click on my picture of a dog. And it's okay because I don't want those one in my courses. So it's part of my branding. It's deterring people. Executives that are too serious and boring, I don't want them. I don't want to coach them. Like I just want like people that are more like enjoying life. Is the picture positioning adequate? So if you're having a overall like whatever you're doing, if it's a post on Instagram or a website, where's the picture position? Is it, and a bit related to the 2-3 other element after that, is it positioned top right, top left, center, middle, below the text, above the text is on it? Like what's going on? Is the picture too small? Is it too big? Is it taking like too much space? Is the picture distracting from the title? Is the title more important? If you have a, let's say a title and a bit of text, you want that to be the core focus, or the picture? Is the picture saying something that the text is not saying, or is it just a bit distracting? Like my dog, it's a bit distracting, but it's attention catcher, then they read the text. So at the end, you may want to think about like the positioning of the picture to be sure that it's positioned at the place where it makes sense. Like the slide that you're seeing now, yeah, there's only one picture and it's my logo in the top right, and I put it in a corner that it doesn't annoy everything. I put my face in the top right corner, top bottom corner. But normally, like if I put images, I would have put them like middle on the right corner and things like that, or sometime on the left, then I would have shift like the text on the right. But I would use like a fair bit of space, and I would leave like air gap, like white gaps in between to be sure that it's not too crowded. Or is the picture aligned? Fairly straightforward. If you're using multiple picture in the same page, image, or things, are they aligned? Do you want them to be aligned first? If yes, then align them properly. Align them to the top, to the bottom, to the right, to the side, wherever. Space them if there's multiple one. So ensure that you use the function in the tool you're using to space them as properly as possible and aligning them. If you put text on top of your picture, ensure that the text is aligned. Often you may want to align in the middle, in the sense that you want the text to be centered with the middle of the image. So cross-check that it's the case. If you want the text to be a bit left, that's also fine, but just ensure that it flow properly and it look like decently like professional job. Is there too many pictures? Does it make sense? Or depending on what you're doing, if you're arriving and you're starting to like put 5, 6, 10 pictures and then they overlay, and sometime I saw some people that were creating courses and there was too many images, too many texts left and right. There was a quote there was things there, different font, different color. Like at the end, it's like, it's too much chaos. Like it did not make sense. And having too many pictures could do that, especially if there are too many pictures and there are different style of picture. So if I put a picture of a dog and then I put a picture of a cat and then I put a random picture of a different quality from like a child walking in the street or playing in the park, it's like, okay, like what the heck is going on? There's too many of them, different images, different feeling. What I'm trying to vehiculate, is it aligned with the brand, the message, all of that? Like if you have too many pictures, could be because the message that you're trying to vehiculate may be a bit confused and your brand may be confused, or the message that you're trying to like generate. So want to cross-check that if it's the case. A frame or no frame around the picture, your choice. Like it's not the choice. I don't have a preference here. I think in the recent years, I have a tendency to put less frames. Once in a while, I may put a frame. It could depend on what's going on and what's the image about and things like that. But frame, no frame, it's optional. If you start putting frame, just ensure you put frame in all your picture. If you don't put frame, try to not put frames on all your picture. Just be consistent. But frame, no frame, your choice. It's not a big impact. Is a picture of yourself necessary? It depends. So it depends on several things. Let's say, by example, me at the moment, if I put a picture of myself, it's okay in a certain extent because my brand is Michel Advisory and I'm Michel. So it makes a certain sense. But if my brand will be something different, then do I need to put my face there? Do I need to put me in the logo? Do I need to be visually representing the brand of the company? Or should I use other images to represent the brand of the company? Should I use like that little brain image, puzzle brain image that I have and reuse that and variation of that in different color and maybe a puzzle pieces like fitting at some point properly in his head and puzzle pieces of different colors. And you can play with that as representing the company and the brand instead of my face. But in my case, my face makes sense. But depending what you're trying to sell and the content you need, like even if you're possibly like if you're watching that, you could be a life coach. Okay, you're a life coach. If is your life coaching branding around you or around the coaching itself and the company you created, if you created a company, etc., etc., and you want to create something a little like coaching empire that at some point you want 10 and 20 staff, then you may want to do something that's not necessarily you because the branding is around the business and not you yourself. One day you may want to maybe sell that business, and if it's linked to you, that's more difficult to sell. So depending on what you're trying to do, if it's just a course, people don't necessarily need to see your face for a course. Same reason I put the dog in the cat for this specific training, and otherwise I put dog sometime. And I may use other images in the future, but I'm pretty sure that I will never put my face necessarily in the training. Some cases I may record a small video, like some courses. Let's say if you go on Udemy, there's images of the course itself, and I'm only in the course, but not the image of the course is not me. But I could put a small preview of the video, and the preview will be having me in it, and I will explain like the nature and extent of the course and why it's a great course for that. So depending on that, it's fine. On a side note here, because it's not necessarily a different topic that I have like in the course here, in the training. If you're doing something live, if you want to do some video and you don't like the type of video you're doing, you don't like talking in public, you're not good with talking in public, you hate it, or every variation of that, you can always consider using somebody else. Use an external party. Use somebody that's happy to do video on your behalf. You give him all the content, all the stuff properly made and properly written and this and that, and he records it based on your instruction, and then you cross-check the quality and say, yeah, I like your video, or can you redo that part? Can you edit that out, etc. So you can ask them to edit stuff in or out, depending on what you're trying to do. But you could technically outsource the video making or the recording of the video or the podcast or things like that. Somebody that has like, let's say me, I would not do a podcast. I'd rather do a video and people see me interacting and they see me articulating and my arms moving. I'd rather do that than doing a podcast. My voice for podcasts, I have a terrible accent. Like they will hate it. Like I will get like, half the people will not understand me. I will have to put a transcript systematically. So anyway, different thing, but outsourcing, it's an option that could increase the level of quality of the type of thing that you're doing. Other consideration here, if you're putting link, so you're doing a post on YouTube, you're doing a post on TikTok, Instagram, wherever, you're putting a URL, so a web link to your website, to a video, to your course, to your company, whatever. Check that the link is working. Simple, but dead links that are not copied properly, links that are not working, things like that, cross-check that. It happened once or twice that I post something. I discovered quickly that it was not working, but I post something pointing toward a course similar to this, and the link was not the proper link. It was like my view of the course, but not necessarily the client view of the course, and it would not work for client at the end. So I killed my post and fixed the link and reposted like within 30 seconds, and everything was hunky-dory. Cross-check that the link is working. Check your link security. And I'm not saying that you're sending a link that by default it's not secure. It's not what I'm saying. And I'll give you another tip regarding that one. But let's say earlier somebody sent me a link for something. He has a kind of PowerPoint presentation that he's trying to share with me. And I checked the link on that website that you see there at VirusTotal. And VirusTotal is telling me that there's at least one place, like it's a bunch of like security related sites that are linked to VirusTotal. And they tell me that one place reported that link as malicious. So no fucking way that I will click on that link. So you want your link to pass the test there. If that place said that your link is malicious, you may want to find a different way to share what you're trying to share, because otherwise, if people like, they will be blocked by Norton antivirus, they will be blocked by McAfee, they will be blocked by other sites. So you want to be sure that your link has the reputation of being a secure link. Otherwise, like I would not click on it. I sent an email to the guy like that was sending me the link, say, sorry, your link like seems to be like not recommended by some security site. I'm not touching that. If you want to send me like your stuff, send me directly a PDF. Otherwise, I'm not touching that. If you're posting something, well, did you put your email and phone number in the post? Is that something that's necessary? Like it's just a technical thing here. So if you're having if you're creating a course for mastermind.com or Udemy, in the title of your course and the core picture of your course, like, did you put like your name and phone number? Like, what is it necessary? You may still be there as the facilitator on the site anyway. The phone number, again, necessary or not. So just cross-check to see if the information is necessary. The email, like, yeah, if you put your email left and right, there's more chance that you will end up with spam, but maybe you want that spam. The phone number, you may receive more text, or you like, depending, like just be careful from a general like security perspective or spam perspective, but cross-check that. So are you referring to other social media? So you're doing a post and you may say, oh, go see my YouTube channel and go see my Instagram and go see my TikTok. It's like, okay, if you're referring to other social media, ensure that you're putting the proper link for that. If you have a specific way to put the link, and try to, as much as possible, keep your link short. So go in the URL shortener if needed, to shorten them for you if they're too long and too wordy, or it's just a mishmash of like random information in the URL. And then at the same time, are you referring to too much other social media? So if you're doing a post and there's like 50 hashtags and then there's 5 links to different page and channel and things like that, it's like, okay, like it creates a message that's too busy. So try to like stay as cool and low on some referral. If you're doing things, if it's something like Instagram, my wife told me a trick that I didn't know. I was putting all my hashtag in my core message, and she's like, no, post your message as light as possible. Then after that, you reply to yourself and you add a comment and you put your hashtag in your comments. And I was like, I was surprised that it would work properly, in the sense that I thought that I had to put it in my core message. She's like, no, normally like most of the other people that are quite popular on Instagram, they put all their hashtag separately, so it's less busy in the core message. So if you're doing other reference and things like that, you can do it like that. Or you can also use something, I think it's called like a Linktree. There's equivalent of that exists. I don't remember the other name, but Linktree, it's a one link that then when people click on that link, it shows multiple other links. So you click on Linktree, and then that tree could be showing like my Facebook group, my YouTube channel, my website, so several things. And so instead of having all of that in your Instagram post, you just have like one line referring to multiple others. So depending what you're trying to achieve, it could be useful. Visibility and readability on each media. So I mentioned it a bit earlier. So if you're publishing something, quite often we have a tendency to make it for a laptop, desktop, and mobile phone. Cross-check that it's working properly on them. Normally the laptop and the desktop should be pretty straightforward, but the mobile phone, because instead of being like wide like that, it's like skinny like that because you hold it upright. So cross-check that what you're trying to post works well on mobile phone. And if it's something like a video, that's a bit wide today. I created that presentation in PowerPoint and I put the text much bigger, because if somebody reads that on a mobile phone, I think it's like, it will be readable. If that would be the regular checklist in Word format, that thing was way too small. Like nobody could read that properly on a mobile phone, and people would just be like, oh, I can read it, can read it. So I made everything like much bigger to facilitate the reading. If somebody read that on YouTube on a mobile phone, like it could be like quite small. So I'll probably activate the transcript, but a 1 hour video with the transcript could be a large amount of text for me to correct. So cross-check that. Normally, well, I put TV or other things. If you're doing content creation for other type of media, so TV, you're doing something that go on the website, that go, if you do something that go on the website, yeah, there's different way to test for website creation, that the site is working on different browser. So does it work on Google Chrome? Does it work on Firefox? Does it work on Internet Explorer and that type of thing? Because sometimes for a different reason, some website don't work properly on different type of browser. So normally you go for the 2 or 3 that are the most popular, that are related to your audience. So try to stick with that. TV and billboard and stuff like that, it's more advanced marketing. Normally, hopefully you're not doing that these days. It's pretty rough for them. Have you run your content by someone? It's like if you're somebody with, and it's your own company and you're doing your own content for yourself and you're trying to run your business, then do you have somebody in a support group? Let's say me, I could run 1 or 2 things via my wife. Oh, she's just there. That's Andy. The cat, useless. I could share something with the self-education revolution group of Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, and some people in that will be happy to review. Oh yeah, this is the overall like picture for my course and the title and my niche. And some people say, oh yeah, I can help you. No, have you thought about that? So you get a bit of bouncing. Doesn't mean that every opinion that will come from that will be great opinions. Could be like, take what you need. Like there's some good one, there's some bad one, and just take what you need and ignore the rest. Normally there's not that many haters. If you have colleagues, so if you're working in a company, you have colleagues, friends, a partner, family that can review it, go for it. Have them reviewing like some quick element of your content. Because the thing is with that, it's an important control. You know how much I love risk and control. Having a second set of eyes is really important, because you're less likely to detect yourself your own errors because your brain is biased, because your brain made it. So having somebody independent reviewing the work first will bring a different angle. Diversity of thought, really important. I should do a training just on diversity of thoughts. It's very different from regular diversity that everybody is talking these days. Diversity of thought, super important. Having somebody independent, even if it's a partner and he's like independent, but not fully independent, like he's having different way of thinking, and that person may arrive with like really like benefits. Oh, you should consider that. Pick and choose what after that. You don't have to correct everything based on friends, family, and partners' feedback. You're still the one running the show. But their support and feedback could be useful. They could arrive with an angle that's actually like adding value. Like something may not be clear enough in a message, and then you just clarify that. You add a few keywords, you remove a few keywords, you change your image and things like that. So fairly straightforward. Well, mindset. The idea is to pay some attention to details. For that, the checklist is for that. The checklist is a reminder of several things that you could pay attention to that are detail related for content creation. But the idea also is don't go overboard with it. So you may want the thing to be perfect. Oh, I'm not like that, but I know people like that, and they want the thing to be perfect. And because they want perfection, they take a long time. They review it, they review it, they review it, they review it. And at the end, it may still not be perfect. It will be perfect maybe in their mind, but not necessarily for the rest of the world. But they would have spent so much time. So in the process, if you don't have any control, things are done really fast. I could take a capture on my phone now and put something on Instagram in like 20 seconds and will probably be like quite garbage. Versus I could take, oh, the other day I did that. The other day I did a 8 seconds video or 12 seconds video for TikTok. My first video ever on TikTok. First time I used that. I swear I took like 20, 30, 40 shots, then deleted. And I was not happy. I did not like my accent. I did not like how I pronounced something. I did not like something. I muffled something. I used a word that I did not like. It took me more than an hour to record a bloody video of like about 10, 12 seconds. So it's like, okay, I went quite likely overboard with that. Versus today, if I'm muffling something, I'll just live with it more. If you understand me, that's the important. If you don't understand me, then that's a different issue. But normally, even if I'm imperfect, I'd rather go with the imperfection. It's faster. Perfection will just slow you down. Could be really nice, but if you go too much overboard with perfection, it will slow you down. So quality, at the end, it's a mindset. And God knows I live in different countries, and not in every country they think about quality the same way. And I don't want to bash a specific country, but there's at least one place that quality was like really back in the far back of their mind, not front top of mind. And it's only until something was broken that they would fix it, not ensuring that the thing was done properly in the first place. So your quality of what you do is important, and you're in charge of it. Don't rely on other people to find out your mistakes. That's why I created that checklist. It's my own mini checklist, and then I share it with other people. So you're in charge of your own quality and cross-checking that everything is like decent. You want a decent amount of quality, a decent plus. Doesn't have to be perfect. You want a balance, but you want the balance to be on the good side, not, oh, I did something quickly and voila. And like, oh, it's not that good, but then it's your brand become not that good, not that good, not that good. That's not that good. And if you're working with people and people are reporting to you, then yes, they are responsible for their own quality. But if you're their team supervisor and the leader, you're responsible for the quality done by your employee. So you need to direct them. You need to supervise them. It's not just, oh yeah, do that, do that, do that, and then you did not check that they did it properly. No, you still want to cross-check that they did the work properly. So even if you would run a marketing company, you could still run that type of checklist and cross-check that the work that they did before they publish it was adequate, and train your own people to do something like similar. So, well, I do other training. I mentioned it at the beginning. I have like a mindful leadership training. It's just the link to my mindful leadership training that's focusing on your own leadership, and leadership, like how you drive your career in your life at work, and then how you direct and lead your staff if you have staff. So it's quite nice leadership. I love it. That's why I made it. That's why I started doing like training and coaching. And I think around end of January, there's a risk management, introduction to risk management, also on Eventbrite. And I think I'll do a strategic career planning half day in January. To learn more about that one, I recommend clicking on joining my Facebook group to learn the date. I'll create it this week and create the date this week, but the moment it's a to-do thing. That's why it's upcoming, but it's coming soon. And if you want a PDF of this presentation, just email me at michel@micheladvisory.com. You may already have my address. Email me. I'll send you a PDF of this presentation, which is like the checklist, like in PowerPoint version.